Check 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Format, Coach Boone will be available before or after practice at Wolfpack Park today, so we're going to go ahead and go on with the offensive and defensive coordinators. We'll have Brock Hekking, Cody Fajardo, and Kyle Roberts coming up later. So we'll go ahead and start with Nick.
Right.
And rather than an opening statement, we'll just go ahead and fire away questions for Nick.
Here we go. Fire away.
You've been with Cody for 3 years now. I guess what has been his greatest development as this time together?
I think his ability, I think what he said after the game, and his stats aren't mattering to him now. He wants to win as a senior quarterback, and I think his pride in the program, and just his understanding that stats are nice, but to get a win with the bond he's built with this group of seniors and the team now is more important than any stat numbers. So that's what I'm most impressed about with him.
Was there a point where stats were more important than wins then?
I can't say that, but I know, as a young quarterback in college football with your dreams going to the NFL, you want to put up good numbers and, turn people's heads a little bit, but that hasn't been even a concern for his this year. So.
Is it rare to see that a guy who occupied off their total yards and we win on perfectly fine and it's not fake? He genuinely means that?
He generally means it. I don't know how hard it is to find, but I think when you have a team like we have with where the relationships, the bond is as strong as it is, I think it's easier to find.
Against San Diego State, they clearly wanted to stop him and were doing everything to stop him. Has that kind of been the situation he's faced every game this season?
No, not as much. Not as much. I think, execution-wise in the first half, I think, there was some times where he missed some things. There's times where the receivers dropped the balls. It just wasn't clicking very good, but we put it on the Union and the young running back and Don, and we kind of went with that thought process the rest of the way.
You mentioned running back James Butler. What were your expectations for him this year? And
he's exceeded everybody's expectations. We hoped he'd come in and give us a few carries because he looked talented on film, and when you meet him as a person, he's a special guy. But his maturity, his approach is top-notch for a freshman. I don't think we'll see it very often, or I don't know if I will.
Doing something on James this week. Was there something that, when you first met him, was there something that kind of stood out that you saw in him?
He was very honest. He was very real. He was not putting on a show. On his visit was the first time I met him, so he was really observant. He asked really good questions. He had a plan. He was coming here for a reason. He wasn't coming here. He was coming here to get an education and play football for the Wolfpack, and that was his two main deals. And he has never wavered from that.
Do you remember what Les told you about him when he said, "Hey, this is the guy I want to bring, and I think we can get him," kind of guy?
Not exactly. I just know I think the staff is very open with each other, and nobody tries to push their guys. And so when Lester will go, "Hey, there's a special guy in Chicago, and it's a little bit of a ways away," he says, "but I've developed a relationship over the years, and he has sincere interests." And then we kind of trusted him and rolled with it.
Brian mentioned this in his luncheon yesterday that James's development early has helped Don.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. I think now they're seeing who can run harder. I think they're fighting, and that's their competition right now. I think it's caused, it's a cliche. Competition helps everybody, but in that case, it's pretty evident that you can see it. Pass pro, they're helping each other. There's no egos in that room. And it's a tribute to Lester and how he handles his room. But you look at a guy like Nate McLaurin is helping James Butler as much as Don. I mean, there's a pride in that room to be a special group, and I think they're continuing on the right path.
And doing something on Austin Corbett this week too. What do you see in his development since he started this year, or even last year?
first thing I notice is the toughness. The toughness in the local Reno kids, really, all of them. You know, there must be something in the water in the Truckee, but he's a little bit like James, where it was never too big for him. He never wavered. He's never got big eyes. He works his butt off. I think it's very similar case as far as I know. Austin had been here a year, but he came here to prove people he could play at this level and play for this university, and he's doing that, and we're very happy to have him.
How much in the first maybe few weeks of the season did the youth and inexperience on the offensive line kind of handcuff you, and how much better is it now?
Well, I don't know if it handcuffed us. I think we knew we were going to just get better and better with the youth we had. You know, we try to do the best job we can to win the game that week, and we've seen improvement up front. And tribute to Coach Hudd and the hard work of the Union guys. You know, there's a desire to get back to being known as the Union of the past. And the only one I really had experience with was 2012, and that was a special group. But in the back of their heads, they want to be that great again, and they're working towards it. I think they're going the right direction.
Are there things you can do now that maybe you couldn't have done in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season?
I think we've always had a bunch of ways, a bunch of offense, whether it's Cody running the throw game or play action. I think we've always had a lot of ways, a lot of things to defend. But when the guys up front are communicating and executing like they did towards the end in the fourth quarter last night or 2 nights ago, you know, that can be demoralizing for a defense, especially at that time of the game. And it was nice to be able to do that, to be honest.
Can you discuss how the differences in 5 weeks from the early part of the season until now, and how you conduct practice or prepare?
Not a whole lot different. We want to give some guys some time off their feet and not and rest them a little bit, but also get ahead as far as preparation for Air Force. You know, they gave us a good game last year. It was a heck of a game last year, and I'm sure they're always playing hard. You know, so we're preparing them that way. But gives us a little time with recruiting, a little more time than you would have on a regular game week. But I don't know if there's a whole lot of a big difference in approaches to the first one and this one.
How much does this offense evolve when you first came here under all pistol every play to where it is?
Probably a little bit, but I think every offense has got to evolve a little bit every year and a little bit every game. To be honest, you can't get too stale, and you know, I commend the guys for the work they've done. You know, on third down, you know, down in the gold zone, you know, getting scores, taking care of the football for the most part. All those things hold true, you know, in good football teams. But I think the big evolution, or the thing you see this year, and what Coach Polian has done, is this team loves each other, and that makes guys play harder for each other, and they understand the greater goal of this team is to win. There's not a lot of I'm not getting catches, I'm not getting touches, I'm not, you know, throwing enough touchdown passes. There's not a lot. There's none of that really, and I think it makes it fun to be a part of.
Last week it seemed like every player kept saying special. This team to do something special. They're heading somewhere special. What is it about this team that made you think that they're special?
That they're only worried about Air Force next weekend, and they understand in the long term, if they go one game at a time, in the back of their heads they know, you know, what the future could hold, but they also have been very disciplined and go week by week, and I don't think that will change. I think the senior leadership's too strong to let that change, and again, you got to give credit to the seniors and the boss for putting that mindset and instilling that mindset last January when we knew we had to work for something. We had a challenge in front of us, but I mean, a lot of those plans are starting to shape up for us. So.
How would you assess how the offense has been this year? You've had some really good games and some games where it's been more.
Well, you'd love to be better. You'd love to put more points up. You'd love to do all those things. I think there is a respect, a teamwork deal going on with the defense. They're playing good. We're trying to help them. There's not a lot of selfishness in this group. You know, we'll take the wins over the stats for sure. I think stats sometimes can be for coaches looking for other jobs. You know, wins are really what matters to the people in this program right now. Yeah, we'd love to be better. We'd love to be number one in the nation, but that's not the most important thing. We try to be as good as we can be on every play and play one play at a time.
Given how well the defense has played, I mean, is there less pressure on the offense, and do you see that manifest on the field?
Well, we appreciate the defense playing well for sure, but we still hold ourselves to a high standard of execution, and I don't know if it carries over in the way you mentioned. I think we go one play at a time and try to execute as best we can. I don't know if it's carried over from. I know the defense is playing great, and we appreciate the turnovers and their intensity and all that, but we still got a job to do, and we don't let that really affect us a whole lot.
The last couple games, you guys have really worn teams down with the run game and, you know, gotten to what you want to do with this offense as far as the run game goes. I mean, how comforting is it that you can actually do that after, you know, struggling with the run game last year and part of this year?
Well, it's good, but you feel really good for the guys up front, the running backs, the tight ends, Coach Hud, those guys who've really been grinding it out for, you know, over a year now to get this thing going in a pretty good direction. It's nice to give them some success and give them some you know, some love for the work they put in and some results that they can appreciate.
You spent this season on the sidelines. Is that?
Yeah, I like it.
You like it?
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah. I hope I never go to the box again. I like this. It's okay. I like the sideline.
You were on the sideline kind of wide.
Yeah, yeah. The whole time.
What do you like about the sideline?
I like the energy. I like being able to judge the flow of the game. I like being able to talk with the players eye to eye. I like the communication we can have on the sideline, whether it's encouraging the receivers and quarterbacks talking, you know, the guys up front. You know, there's always something to talk about. So that's what I enjoy. And I think we've had success talking about things on the sideline and seeing things later in the game go our way. So.
Do you think being on the sideline helps you make adjustments as the game goes on to get better as the game
Oh, I think we got great eyes in the box with Coach Blackshear and some of the GAs. I think we get good information from them, and the combination of that and the communication of the coaching staff, I think, it's very open. Like I said, there's not a lot of ego in the room right now. So we're trying to win and do the best way we think possible.
What do you attribute the success coming out of the locker room? You guys have been playing so well.
The kids. It's the same thing we talked about earlier. They love each other. They want to play for each other. They don't want to let each other down. And you know, the coaches, as far as the communication of what's happening in the first half or during the halves during the game. I think the lack of ego, the trust, the love, the bond that this group has put together is the reason why we're seeing some success in that matter.
It's a pretty similar team from last year. You guys didn't lose a lot of seniors. How did that form with the same group of guys?
Maybe another year of Coach Poling and his philosophy. I think that would probably be the number one reason.
Is the losing, you know, help as well?
Yeah, losing stinks. That helps. You know, that kind of motivates you. But, you know, they just don't want to let each other down. And it's not that it wasn't there last year. It's just so evident this year with this group. You know, and it's really fun to coach. We told them, you know, you don't remember every team you've coached or played on, you know, especially when you start doing it for 20, 25 years or 40 years or whatever, but this is a team that I know I will remember for a long time.
You knew that from the beginning, before the season started?
I had a hunch, but they've just confirmed it this year the way they fought. I mean, you don't lose the one to Boise, the one to Colorado State, and a lot of teams can crumble after those two, and this team has responded and put together 3 good wins and put us in a good position to go to Air Force and have another challenging game that we know we're going to have, and they're prepared for it, and nothing's been easy for this group, so they don't expect anything different. They're ready to battle.
You know, the offense for Air Force is unorthodox. Anything on the defensive side, anything remotely close to what they do on offense that you have to prepare a little bit harder for?
Well, you always want to deal with their pressures and some of the things they brought last year or the year before. You kind of got to. The league has become kind of a three-down league in the last couple of years. So there's some similarities carry over, through from BYU all the way up through Hawaii. I mean, some of those things carry over, especially for the guys up front. Some of the pressures are very similar, but I think Air Force does a nice job disguising. I think they understand how to play together on defense, and they play very hard. They've always played hard, we're sure they'll play hard again next Saturday.
Anything else for Rollo?
Might be a touch early.
Touch early?
A touch early, but do you have any concerns about Brian getting some attention after this season from other schools?
No.
All right. That'll do it.
Road warrior. Your animal, I'm hot.
That's what we should do for Halloween. That would be good. Yeah. That's great.
Thanks, man. All right, good luck, Boone.
Thanks, Rollo.
Any questions for Coach Boone?
Coach, could you have anticipated, I mean, the way you guys have turned the ball over, the way you guys have made plays, could you have anticipated that coming into the season?
Well, I mean, I think as you prepare a defensive blueprint, you're going to emphasize certain things, and you always get what you emphasize. And since day one, since I got here, the very first spring practice, we've incorporated some kind of a takeaway circuit in almost every practice. And like I said, I think our guys have bought in. I mean, sometimes guys go through circuits drills and they go through it like, half speed or not real intense. But our guys have kind of seen, the proof in the pudding. So when we do, takeaway circuit or we do takeaway drills, they're pretty in tune to what we're doing and listening to coaching points. And we emphasize it, and they're doing it in practice, and it shows up in games.
What does that do for your defense? For example, Saturday night, San Diego State, a couple times they're driving, looks like they're on the doorstep of scoring. I mean, you said all you care about, you don't care about yards, you care about points allowed. What does that do for a defense to come up with those type of points?
Well, the most important thing it does, it gets us off the field. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's the eighth play of a 70-yard drive or the second play of a 3-yard drive. Our goal is to get off the field. And, sometimes you just can't line up and stop them. And when those situations arise, you got to figure out how you're going to get off the field. And our guys have been very resilient as far as getting the ball out and getting off the field. I mean, the first drive of the game, I think they drove the ball down to the 9 before, John and Workman and Nigel combined to get that ball out for Matt to recover. It changes our whole mindset. We come out and all of a sudden they march and go, 7 or 8 plays, and at the end of the day, I always say is, hey, we're off the field. Doesn't matter. Let's get the offense, get it going, and get a drink of water and wait for our chance to go back out there.
How important is this bye week before playing a team that relies on and runs the triple option? Obviously, something you don't see very much.
Well, I mean, for us, in order to be prepared for the option, we need to be healthy. So it's going to help to get our guys, healthy. It's going to give us a chance, basically a full week extra, just to prepare a game plan for the option. And no matter what anybody says, you have to prepare differently when you're playing an option team, whatever that means. And you have to look at different type of blocking schemes, different type of techniques, different types of discipline. And it just gives you, 4 extra days, whether you practice or not on those days, to either as coaches, familiarize yourself with what you're looking at, or as players, see what we're talking about and get prepared.
What kind of history do you have trying to defend it in the past, and then what kind of success have you had?
When I was at William & Mary, we played VMI every year, and they ran the option. We defended really well against them. Then we played Georgia Southern in the quarterfinals of the NCAA playoffs and didn't defend it very well against them. So I've got both experiences. I've seen us do a really good job against it, and then I've seen teams expose us a little bit. So, it's important to know what works. It's also important to know what doesn't work, and we can figure that out pretty quickly when teams are running down the field on you versus the option.
This team's had a really tough time against Air Force the last couple of years. Have you watched any of that tape? Are you concerned at all a lot of the same personnel?
I'm not concerned about our personnel. I'm concerned about Air Force's option. I mean, we're all concerned about Air Force's option, but I think if our guys, understand what we're trying to get accomplished, we keep it simple. It's really not about the scheme as much as about beating blocks, running to the ball, and staying on your feet. If your guys are getting cut, it doesn't matter what defense you're playing, you're going to be exposed. So we're going to work on defending cut blocks. We're going to work on staying on our feet. We're going to work on disciplined eyes and reading your keys and playing whatever defense we call. There's no magic defense, and there's no magic scheme. But the scheme is play defense, stay on your feet, run to the football, and continue to create takeaway opportunities. Because option teams, have a tendency to be a little risky with the ball. There's opportunities there to get takeaways.
John McNeil, player of the week in the Mountain West. I guess, what have you thought about his season and what does he mean to your group?
Well, I think John's like a very quieting, calming effect on the defense. He's a guy that I can really talk to any way I want to and not have him get too fired up about it. Some guys are real thin-skinned. You got to be careful. John's real thick-skinned. John and I can have a conversation where both of us are raising our voice to each other and walk away from it still in good shape. John's very knowledgeable about our defense and about what he's seen, and very good person to talk to on the sideline about, hey, what's happening out there, and he has a pretty good idea. And he's playing at a high level. He practices hard, he prepares, he watches film, studies the game, and it correlates into his play on the field.
Doing some on Patrick Chowda. I mean, he's had maybe a dozen snaps a game or somewhere around there. I guess, what has stood out about his play so far as a freshman?
Well, I think what you see in Patrick is a really explosive athlete and somebody who can come off the ball and rush the passer. And he has a high motor when he's in there, so he makes some effort plays for you. He's still learning the college game. He's still learning how to be physical. But the other things, the twitch and the speed off the edge and the ability to make plays is there for us.
Coach Boone said he speaks 4 languages, and sometimes you have to be delicate in how you speak to him because he'll take things too literally.
I haven't found that to be the case, but I really don't talk to him that much. I mean, Billy handles the D-line pretty much exclusively, and if I'm talking to him, it's usually about a simple technique thing that he might not have gotten exactly right.
This program historically known for their offense for years and years. The defense was for years seen as kind of like an Achilles heel. Now you guys are winning games with defense. How gratifying is that for you, the staff, and the players?
Well, I mean, I think it's good for the players to feel like they're not second-class citizens and have people actually cheer for them once in a while. It's really about winning games. It's not really about whether you win with defense or offense. I'd rather win, 41-40 than lose 13-10. So, somebody's going to have to play good, and if both sides play good, that's awesome. If it has to be us, it'll be us. If it has to be the offense, like if we'd have won the Boise game 50, whatever, if we'd have scored that last drive 53, 51 or whatever, I wouldn't have felt bad about giving up 51 points. I would like not to give up 51 points, but our guys have really bought into what we're doing, and I think they're enjoying the fact that they're at least looked at with a little bit of respect for playing hard and preparing.
What's been the biggest challenge for you moving from an FCS level team to Nevada?
I think that probably the biggest thing is the Mountain West Conference. The Mountain West Conference being such a offensive conference, you can have a really good defense and give up 25 or 26, 28 points a game and feel pretty good about yourself. Where I'm coming from, if we were over 17 or 18 points a game, we were bummed. So preparing for the offenses at Mountain West, it's not really about FCS versus BCS because coaching's coaching, but it's about what you see out here, the Wild Wild West, as opposed to getting in the East Coast where you're going to find maybe half the teams are spread and half the teams are traditional. Here, if you get a traditional team that huddles, like I think San Diego State was the first team that's huddled since, I don't know if we had a huddle team all year. So we had to tell our guys, hey, when those guys stand around, that's a huddle. Just relax and wait for them to break the huddle.
What would it take for you, I guess, for you to validate yourself for this first season? What do you think the team would need to accomplish defensively for you to feel like that?
It's not really about me validating myself. It's about us winning games and the defense contributing to winning games. I mean, like I said, I don't care how we do it. It's all about winning. It's all about these guys playing for each other and preparing. And I've been doing this a long time, so I don't feel like I came here to self-validate about what kind of coach I am. The players take the game plan and execute it. We just try not to get in their way a lot of times.
This is kind of from a fan standpoint. They don't see the triple option very much. So when they see something maybe for the first time, they've probably never seen it, or some people haven't seen it very often. Talk about maybe how the secondary gets involved, because a lot of the times the camera's on the television, you're not seeing the secondary unless you're seeing that runner going all the way down the field.
Yeah, we hope we don't see that very often then. The bottom line is the triple option tries to create a numbers matchup. So they basically look at who you have on which side of the ball, where are your numbers, and whichever your numbers they feel like they have the advantage, that's the side they're going to go. So the trick to defensively is to try to show them as balanced of a look as possible so they don't have numbers on either side, or a slight numbers advantage on one side, and then change that numbers advantage by secondary rotation. So if you look at, say, okay, this side we have 3 outside the slot, how are we going to get the 4th guy there? Or this side we have 2 outside the slot, how are we going to get the 3rd guy there? And that's done with some kind of either a rotation situation or a pressure where you're bringing somebody from an edge and looping somebody to that side. But the bottom line is option teams count, and we have to try to confuse their count maybe, or try to show them a count and then change it when the ball's snapped, so that you don't end up getting – if they have a hat on a hat, then that's good for them. We try to get one more hat than they can block, and that's good for us.
Is there a player or an element of your defense that has surprised you this season?
Well, I think when I got here, everybody talked about how good our defensive line was and how deep they were and how experienced they were, and everybody talked about how great of pass rushers they were. But I think the biggest thing that I've been pleased with is with guys like Jordan and Yates and Brock and Ian, how they've basically bought into the fact that, hey, it's more than just a pass rush game. And, they're willing to get in there and play, do the dirty work and play hard and get in there and eat double teams and be physical and let linebackers make plays. I was under the impression that, hey, we got 5 guys, 6 guys like to rush the passer. And if they happen to get in the way of the run, then that's good, but they're going to rush the passer. And that hasn't really been the case. And I think that's a tribute to Billy and the defensive line guys, and saying, hey, there's a time to rush the passer and there's a time to play our technique, and we can do both.
Brock really hasn't had the numbers this year that he had last year. I think I know why, but kind of explain why.
No, there's 2 reasons. The number one reason is team's game plan for Brock. I mean, if you watch film, they're sending the tight end, chipping him, they're sending the running back his way. They game plan him. That's why Ian has 7 sacks. And then the other thing is that Brock has bought in and said, hey, I'll rush the passer when it's time, and when it's time to play run and be aggressive and be physical, I'll do that as well. Sometimes the sacks are not designed for one player. Sometimes the protection is designed to sit on one side, and sometimes our scheme is designed to free up another side. And he has never come in and said, hey, get me free. He just does what he's told to do and plays hard.
You haven't seen any change in his attitude, demeanor, anything at all?
I think it's better. I think he likes getting sacks, obviously, because he likes to dance around. I mean, that's kind of the way he is. But I think if you watch him on every play, he plays the backside of the run harder than anybody I've ever coached, and he has as much interest in trying to come flat down the line of scrimmage and earhole or ball carrier than he does getting a sack. And he's one of the few defensive linemen I've ever seen that is always chasing the football. So I think he's having a different kind of fun than just the Brock, the sack machine kind of fun.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thank you.
All right.
Questions for Cody?
What do you remember about the first time you met James Butler?
The first time I met him, he was actually in a boot, and I knew he was a good running back from Chicago. And when I saw him, I was like, this kid must have got held back or something had to happen because there's no way you're this big coming in as a freshman. And then once you see him start to play, you're like, this kid is going to be a very good tailback. And I thought in my mind, I was like, I don't know if he'll be a good tailback as a true freshman, but somewhere down the line he'll be a good tailback, and he's proved me wrong. He's been pretty great for us this year.
What is he like, off the field a little bit?
He's quiet. He keeps to himself. He's pretty much what all freshmen, I feel like the freshmen that play should be like. You kind of go in there, you just do your job, keep quiet, and you learn from the older guys. You learn when to speak. And when he talks, you seem to notice because, hey, he's got something to say, and it's not like he's talking the whole time. JB on the field is pretty funny. Every time he comes back, he's like, oh, I should have broke that one. I should have broke that one. So I think he thinks every play he should score, and he feels bad if he doesn't score on every play. I was like, just be patient, just be patient. But that's pretty cool, for him to kind of listen to me and kind of talk with me throughout the game.
I don't think he's been out of position once all year. Is that accurate, and is that a big surprise to you for a true freshman?
I think so. I mean, every time you come in as a freshman, you get big eyes. The playbook is big. You just read the playbook and you're like, what's going on? You're kind of swimming. And for him to kind of just focus, you can tell how much football means to him, how much he loves football, and the time and effort he dedicates to football has made him a good player right now. And obviously the sky's the limit. He just needs to continue to progress. And I hope he, doesn't settle in terms of never achieving the goal that he wants to make. But he's done a tremendous job in pass blocking. A lot of running backs come in, and it's hard for them to understand blitzes, blitz pickup, what linebacker to get. But he has been phenomenal in the pass game.
Doing something on Austin too. You're another freshman. 2 bad ankles, obviously most of the year. What do you think about his toughness and ability to hang in there?
Yeah, he's a real tough kid, especially being a left tackle. You'll see him waddle like a penguin all week. And then all of a sudden, come game day, he digs down deep and he becomes that player that we need. Every game day, I feel comfortable and confident with him at left tackle. Bad ankles or not, I know he's going to give everything he's got. And so for him just to fight through toughness, I think it helps the younger guys as well as some of the older guys who are fighting through toughness, fighting through injuries as well. Just kind of dig down deep. And Austin Corbett's got 2 bad ankles, so my bruised elbow or whatever the case is, that it's not as bad.
I want to ask you about the 9,000, 3,000 club. How special is that?
I think it's pretty special, just in terms of being up there with a guy who I look up to. It's pretty interesting to me that both the 2 guys who've done it came from this university, and I think that's what makes our university great. It just goes to show you that where there's talent, we'll find it. And Cap's been a great mentor to me, and he's been there for me the whole time. I know it was his birthday yesterday. He had a little rough weekend, but hoping for a text here soon from him.
What about the time in his bye? Do you think it came at the right time, especially going into a game like Air Force that's so different from other teams?
I think you couldn't place a better bye. For us, physically wise, we were a little banged up at receiver. Obviously, offensive line had a few guys banged up, and we needed this week off. But I honestly don't really like byes because it feels like the next time you play, you've been out of the game for a long time. So you just got to get in the groove of things. But an opponent like Air Force who runs a difficult offense, unique offense, it's good for our defense to be able to get extra looks against it. And for us on offense, they bring some pressures that we've seen the past couple of weeks. But for us to kind of get those down going into the game will be pretty good.
Your first 3 years here, you either haven't had great records or you haven't been able to finish the way you want to finish, 0-3 in the bowl games. Are you sensing that special year this year and how much you want to be able to finish strong and win a bowl game this year?
Yeah, definitely, especially because it's my senior year. I don't have another year after this, so I hope to finish it strong. I hope to get a bowl game. I hope to play in the Mountain West Championship. Obviously, all these things you dream about when you pick the school you're going to go to, and obviously as a senior, all the things you dream about, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Everyone wants to go undefeated, but unfortunately that's not the case for us. But the way this team's responded, and we've battled back from losing 2 tough games, 3 if you count Arizona, but 2 in conference play, just goes to show the heart of the team and how much we like to play for each other. And if things aren't going our way, we're going to kind of rally around each other and just try and get the same common goal.
Is that a pride factor for you? Kind of no matter what happens the rest of the way, that feeling that you have with this team?
Yeah, this team I'll remember for a long time, not only because I'm a senior, just because I think we've been losing in almost every game at halftime, and we've came back. The losses we have it's not like we got blown out of the water. We've lost by, I think, 7 and less in all the games. So just the fight the team has, I'll remember these dudes for the rest of my life, invite them to my wedding, all that fun stuff. But just to be around these guys for possibly 5 more games, I'm just trying to soak up every possible moment with them.
How was your one class going this
year? It's pretty good. We're in negotiations. It's a negotiation class, and I got reamed this last exercise. It was this sweet lady who just kind of robbed my heart. Tried to be friendly, and it all went bad. I made one of the worst deals, so I was a little bummed, but it's good to have it on a bye week.
I know you guys try not to talk about it leading up, bowl eligible, all that, but now that it's here, how good does it feel to know you've already accomplished that?
It's a good feeling to get out of the way. I know that adds a couple extra pressure on a team when you know you're so close. But for us, it's all about Air Force. It's all about the next game. It's not like we're only going to go to a bowl and we don't have a chance to go to the Mountain West Championship. We don't have a chance to compete for that. We have a chance to do some things that we've planned in the beginning of the season, and even after those losses, some guys may have thought probably wasn't possible. But everyone's kind of rallied these guys together and said, hey, look, the bowl game's nice. Obviously, for a lot of guys who haven't experienced a bowl game, it's a lot of fun. But for us, we want to focus on Air Force, focus on getting another win, and continuing to better our chance of making the Mountain West Championship.
How many X stickers do you have now, and is it the team high?
I have no idea. I think it's the team high. I think the last time before this last game, I was at 29 or 30. So I think it's one of the team high. It's pretty cool to see those little X's on your helmet. I think it adds some competitiveness in the locker room. Guys will count their X's and be like, oh, I got more than you, I got more than you. So it just helps bring these guys to a whole new level, trying to go out there and compete and make plays within reason, obviously, because you don't want to try and do too much.
You're one interception away from tying Chris Alt on the all-time Nevada list. You probably threw the ball about 4 times as many times.
Really? Oh, well, yeah, I had no idea. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I remember watching Favre when I was younger, and he said any record to have is a good record. Doesn't matter if it's, touchdowns or interceptions. And he said, like, in order to hold some records, you gotta take chances. And if I hold that record, that'll be pretty funny. But I mean, I know Coach Alt will probably be happy. So hopefully we'll see how that goes.
It would only be for 10th place, so.
Oh, okay. I thought it was top overall. Okay, that doesn't make me feel as bad.
Anything else for Cody? All right. Thank you. And questions for Mr. Hekking?
I'm doing some on Patrick Chowda. I guess what have been your initial impressions on the kind of talent he possesses?
The kid has a lot of potential. He's still got a little growing up to do as far as maturity-wise. But physically, he's extremely gifted. He's athletic. And, he's going to be a great football player someday.
Is that maturity thing, that's pretty normal for a freshman, I would assume?
Absolutely. It's just that Superman syndrome, we would call it, when you come out of high school and, you're the top dog, and then you come into college and you kind of got to work your way up the ranks a little bit. Well, some freshmen have Superman syndrome and just think they're already there, but, it's a good thing. He's a good dude, and he's gonna, like I say, he's gonna be a great ball player.
You've been a pretty willing learner and taking aside and listening to what you have to say and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's puts in the extra film work. He tries hard. He's in the weight room, and it's just only a matter of time until he really blossoms.
Speaking of film work, Brock, how much time will you spend looking at last year's game against Air Force to prepare for next week?
I'll look at it a little bit, but it's more of this season's film. I feel like they've changed up their offense a little bit, not so far as scheme necessarily, but percentage of pass and run. Notice that they throw the ball a little bit more. But I'll reflect on last year's game, the game before that, and then I'll focus on this year's film just so I can try to get a grasp on this whole thing. It's not the easiest offense to prepare for.
What kind of time do you spend doing that? Not just against them, but all their film and their earlier games in the season. How much time is spent on that?
On the days that I don't have class, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I like to spend about an hour and a half, 2 hours just going in, going over my notes. The first time I watch a game, I'll just kind of break down the first quarter, the first half, take notes on it, what the tackles' keys are, what the quarterback does, just various things like that, and then I'll go over it again, and then I'll just scheme through it and just make sure everything lines up. And so it's about any time that a normal class would be, about 2 hours a day that I'll put in on it.
I mean, obviously they looked at cut block. I think you said last year they should outlock cut blocking. But I guess what is the key to defeating the cut blocks and not getting chopped down and allowing big plays?
Just staying athletic and making sure your eyes are in the right place. As soon as you're looking at the quarterback or you're chasing a running back that's going down the other side, that's when that guy comes out of nowhere and he's nice and low. So you just got to make sure that you're always on your toes, keep your head on a swivel, and stay athletic.
Doing something on Austin, I think we talked to you a little bit earlier in the season about his progress and where he's at. Have you been impressed with where he is now, especially given battling these ankles he's had pretty much all season?
Absolutely. I feel like Austin's showed both physical and mental toughness throughout this whole process. Getting one ankle injury is bad enough, but having two is rough, and to see him battle through that, it's good. He's still staying athletic. We're just praying that you can get healthy during this bye week.
Can you make any comparisons with him to Joel is the first name that comes to mind, and obviously he was great here, but can you make any comparisons with Austin?
I don't think you can necessarily compare someone with Joel. I don't think that's necessarily fair to do. He's an amazing athlete, but there are glimpses that you could see as far as technique-wise. I feel like Joel was a little bit bigger, a little more athletic, but I feel like Austin can get there one day, and I feel like he has the potential to be there. Can I say that he's a Joel Bitonio yet? No, but do I think he has the potential? Absolutely.
Brian said this yesterday, and Coach Boone said it again today. Your attitude, your demeanor, nothing has changed for you, even though your numbers are down. Why is that?
It's because the team comes first. I love these guys. I love being out there. These guys are my brothers. If I'm getting 9 sacks a game, whatever it is, or I'm, getting nothing, it's just being out there and playing with them. As long as we win games, that's all that matters. Now, if I was having the season that we had now, that I'm having right now, statistically speaking, and we were losing games, I would not be happy because no one likes to lose games. But, as far as right now, I have no complaints. Team looks good. We're winning games. We're finally, kind of found our persona, I guess you could say. We're a fourth quarter team, and I love it. It keeps the game interesting the entire time. And, like I said, I just love being out there with everyone.
You're seeing fewer snaps now, too. Every football player wants to be on the field, I'm sure. But is that a nice thing for you?
It's pretty much the same rotation as last year. If you compare it to sophomore year, yeah, it's about a half of many, reps. But it's something that I was used to with the, Coach Tierlink's new rotation thing last year. And, it's just something that, we've continued to incorporate, this year. So it's not bad.
Does it at all get frustrating when you're constantly seeing 2 and 3 guys blocking you on every single play?
Yeah, it is. It's extremely frustrating because, it's just like, can I get a free one at some point, please? But then again, it's fun because it's challenging. It's not just always a one-on-one thing. It's, if I want to play at the next level, I can't have any excuses out there. Whether they're sending 1, 2, or 3 guys at me, I have to figure out a way to win somehow, or at least, pressure it and force it to my teammates, so they can make the play. It's not always just, if I sit there and I take 2 or 3, I feel like I did my job because that frees up, one of my brothers that are out there, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
How gratifying is it to be part of the defense? It's, winning games for them.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things for me this year is that our defense is getting recognized, and really we're just starting to play to our potential. I don't think we're not there yet. We're not perfect, but we're getting there. We're figuring out ways to get turnovers, to get the ball back to the offense, and that's something that, we lacked last year. We had the tools, but, we just weren't all there, and it's that brotherhood atmosphere, that family atmosphere that have really made the difference defensively for us this year.
How much of that is due to Coach Boone? What has he brought to the table?
He just, promotes that family atmosphere. He's always honest with us, pull us aside if we need talking to, whatever it is. He's just like, look, you guys are brothers, seniors, this is your last chance. And so we've really worked with him to, bring the rest of the defense together and just look, show everyone that, we got to do this for the seniors. We got to do it for one another because, no one wants to, end up like last year. No one wants to go 4-8 and not go to a bowl game. So.
Speaking of the bowl game, I know you guys don't like to look ahead, but now that you have already become bowl eligible, and that's in the past, how does that feel?
It's just one step on the ladder. There's still a lot more that, we want to accomplish, but, you can say it's a little weight off the shoulders, but then again, it just makes the next game that much more important. So, it is nice, though.
Talking about the next level, do you feel you're ready to play the next level?
That's something that I'll deal with after season. I'm a fairly confident person when I play football, and, that's how I like to play. So we'll just have to wait and see. Looking forward to it, though.
What do you think the timing of the bye? You guys are on a roll right now. Would you like to get right back out there? Do you like it coming now, get a week off before Air Force, rest up, heal up?
You know what? I like it just because of the next game. Defensively, you couldn't be more blessed with having a bye right before you go face Air Force's offense. That's something that, if you look at the film time compared to, any other week, it's just one of those things that you might watch the same amount of film, but you're going to be constantly thinking about it. It's just something that, what if they do this? You're just constantly overanalyzing things, just breaking everything down. And so, having an extra week to prepare for that is definitely nice. Cool.
Finally, questions for Kyle Roberts, please.
Kyle, doing something on Austin this week. What do you remember about him when you guys were at Reed? You were, I believe, a senior when he was a freshman.
Yeah.
What do you remember when you saw him playing as a freshman and kind of potential he might have had?
Well, I was decently good friends with his brother, so he was just kind of the smaller, younger, kid that you weren't sure if he was going to grow up and be as big as his brother was and stuff like that. He's always been mature beyond his age. Even in that age, even when he was younger, he was always kind of I'm going to do my schoolwork, I'm going to do what I need to do in football, and I don't know, he's always been the same kind of demeanor type of person, and it just so happened that he grew enough in high school that he became a pretty good football player, as we see now.
When did you maybe get the sense that he could be a D1 type of player?
I went and saw him. I went to a Reed game when he was a senior, and I watched him play, and I thought he played pretty well. I knew he had some injury problems in high school that he only got to play his senior year as a full season. And then once he got here, Our first fall camp, he was 230, 240, constantly sick because his tonsils and everything, and he was out there battling. And we do O-lineman a drill called reach drill, where two O-linemen go against each other, and he's going against 280-pound kids and beating them up really. And that's when you really saw okay, this kid has a lot of potential for the future.
And what kind of guy is he off the field? I learned from his mom the other day that he volunteers a few nights a week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to describe him off the field. In the locker room, he's kind of a goofball, tries to joke around a lot, but he always around the football facilities, he's always so serious, and he's really serious about doing certain things, in particular, almost ADD kind of. He does certain things a certain way all the time, and it's kind of weird, but it's funny because it's just kind of how he is, and he has a unique personality. So he's a fun kid to be around.
Kyle, as important as the bye weeks are, what's the responsibility of the upperclassmen to the freshmen and the sophomore to show them this is how we handle these things? This is the second one this year.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem. I think the coaches do most of that for us. I think when the underclassmen take this as an advantage to just kind of go through practice, go through the motions, is when you have to point out to them, this is a time to get better. This is a time that we need to take advantage of to prepare for the next opponent. And I don't think we've had much trouble with that this year. I think overall we're a pretty mature football team when it comes to bye weeks, and even when we went to Hawaii and San Jose, distractions like that don't seem to get us off track.
What's been your take on James Butler so far this season?
He's unbelievable. He's shown so much improvement from the beginning of the year that, in pass protection and running the ball, him and Don just make us right on the O-line. If we block it up a certain way, they'll find a hole. They'll find a way to get 2 or 3 and turn maybe a no gain into a few yard gain, and it's unbelievable to see that he has the ball security, the sense for ball security, the sense to hit a run when he's supposed to. He has the patience to let something develop, and just in the last few weeks, you've seen him grow as a football player exponentially.
When you see how hard he hits, he probably weighs 200 pounds, but maybe. But he hits holes hard. He doesn't go down easy. What does that do for the offensive line?
It makes us a lot more confident that if we even open up a sliver of a hole for him to hit, he's going to go through there and get 3 or 4 and possibly break it for 10 to 15. If you saw, I think it was before our first field goal we kicked in the second half, maybe. I can't remember exactly. We ran a power play, and he hits it up there, gets hit by a linebacker, bounces it to the left, and just breaks for 10 more yards. And you're like that's just an unbelievable effort play, and you just want to block for him because you know he's going to give you his best effort.
Do you get to see that on the field much, or do you see it more in film afterwards?
More in film afterwards. A lot of the time, a lot of the little things that running backs do, you don't get to see. I'll tell you what, our running backs know how to cut in pass protection. They are impressive at cutting in pass protection, especially James. But stuff like that is pretty fun to watch because you see what you do during the game, and it's fun to rewind it and see all the little things that happen in the game. Watching film is actually a pretty funny thing to do because people do some weird stuff on film.
Time for one more before we go to get to me. Anything else?
What about the timing of the bye? How much more beneficial is it coming now as opposed to the first one, just 3 games into the season?
I thought the first bye was good because it gave us a chance to regroup before we got into conference play. I think this one gives us a chance to get healthy, and especially like Brock was saying for the defense. I think it's a big week for the defense to get ready, and the offense. It gives us a chance to see what they do on defense. They run a lot of exotic stuff, and they're much improved from last year, so it's going to give us a chance to get a step up on them.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.